Today we're going to work on finding our neutral spine position while we are in quadruped or on all fours. So we're going to come to all fours or quadruped position. And first we're going to start with stacking the shoulders directly over the wrists. So they're not going to be too far out in front of you and they're not going to be back in towards the knees. Just like stacking blocks, you wouldn't try to stack one here and then one above it over here, it would fall down. So same idea here, we want to protect our joints and be in the strongest position that we can, and that would be shoulders over wrists. From there, we're gonna do the hips. So hips are gonna be directly over the knees. Again, we don't want them too far behind us, and we also don't wanna cut our belly off and bring them towards the wrist. So find those hips directly over the knees. Nice, again, stacked straight lines. From here, we're going to droop our belly to the floor like we would in a cat-cow position. And so we're even going to do some cat-cows just to get that feeling of one extreme to the next. So in this position, my belly is drooped, disengaged, my pelvis is tilting towards the floor, and obviously my butt and my tailbone are sticking up. So this space between my ribs and my low back is greatly arched. And so this is one part of the cat-cow movement. But also, when we are standing, a lot of us have this posture, and this might be a little bit exaggerated right now, but a lot of us have this posture when we're standing. I'm going to do it kneeling. But a lot of us will have our butts pushed out, our bellies disengaged, pushing out in front, and that pelvis is tilted towards the floor. So this is not an ideal posture to have while standing. And checking our posture actually while we're on all fours is actually quite helpful in finding the neutral spine. And I think it's good to find our neutral spine in all sorts of different positions that we might be in. So again, we drop the belly towards the floor, and then we're going to press up and through, tilt the pelvis now towards the ceiling, and now I'm going to have this rounded space between my ribs and my low back and my tailbone. So it's not often that people would have this kind of posture standing up, but it would be something like a tucked pelvis. Now again, my low back's pushing back this way, pelvis is pushing, and now usually people who have this posture will have a very rounded upper back while the pelvis is pushed forward. Too much rounding is happening here. Now, that's not the case in our down dog where we're going from flexion to extension, but in this, or not down dog, cat-cow. But from this position, it's easier to find as we tilt the pelvis up and down to now try to find that flat tabletop position. So I feel like people can find this position on tabletop on all fours a little bit easier than they can when they're standing. So why not practice it here? So again, we're going to get a little bit closer so you can really see that difference between pelvis is tilting towards the floor, I'm arching my low back, and now my pelvis is going to tilt back up towards the ceiling, and I'm going to round my back. Now a full cat-cow might look like this, approaching, tucking, but we are just going to focus on this pelvic tilt here. So again, trying to find that neutral spine, which would be a flat back. So again, here I'm tilted, tucking. So to hold this position and to keep that flat back, I have all sorts of things working in my core to keep this position. And so from here, I want my deep abdominal muscles, called the transverse abdominals, to engage. I want my internal and external obliques to engage, the front rectus abdominis to engage, and my spinal erectors. I want all my back muscles working. So a lot of times people say, this feels like a lot of work when you actually hold it. And it should, because those are our core muscles keeping that spine in a straight embraced position. So even practicing this tilt and holding is great core work that you could do without having to do a crunch. It's actually far more effective and works all the muscles that we need to be strong and stable throughout our everyday lives. So not just for yoga, not just for workouts, but our everyday lives, picking kids up, cleaning the house, going to work, whatever you need to do. So even just practicing those pelvic tilts, neutral spine, holding, being able to breathe and hold that position. So now from a kneeling position, so don't want to cut myself off by standing up. From a kneeling position, again I'm going to do the same thing, tilt my pelvis towards the floor. And if you can think about this as water buckets, it's easier to visualize it when you're up and down. But if I had a water bucket, if I'm gonna pour water out the front, I'd push my butt back, tilt my pelvis down. Again, if I'm gonna spill water out the back, I'm gonna tuck and try to spill water out this way. So I wanna level that bucket and not spill any water. So this would be my neutral spine in a standing or kneeling position. So again, here, now I'm gonna level out my bucket, find my neutral spine. Again, if you can put your hands here, you can feel all of your deep belly muscles working to hold that neutral spine in. So that is how we would work on and find our neutral spine position in an all fours quadruped position and even kneeling. So give those a try, and it's not just a movement, but you can actually make that an exercise and really work those deep belly muscles. I challenge you to try that for a couple minutes each day and let me know what you think. See if we can get those core muscles stronger to help us in our everyday lives. See you guys next time.